Fantastische, gigantische, endzeitmäßige Regenstürme konnten uns nicht aufhalten, nach München zu fahren, denn hier haben wir was zu tun gehabt.
Ja, die sonnige Stadt zeigt sich meteorologisch verärgert über unser Anwesen, aber wir trotzen dem Wetter und der Mürrigkeit, indem wir zu Plan 1 gehen und hier 2 Charaktere von Epic Micky 2 vertonen. Zum einen
einen mürrischen Köter, miesgelaunt, aber mysteriös.
Zum anderen eine, ich muss es leider so deutlich sagen, bekiffte Ziege, die allerdings sehr kuppelig drauf ist.
Könnte natürlich auch mit legalen Drogen betrunken gemacht worden sein, das wissen wir jetzt so direkt nicht. Die Ziege meine ich.
Gibt natürlich auch legal die Möglichkeit, Marihuana zu konsumieren, zu gesundheitlichen...
Ach, du meinst, sie war an so einem Ärzteprogramm dabei?
Vermutlich.
Ja.
Aufgrund von Magenproblemen, aus dem Essen Ziegen-Gras.
Ja.
Ob sie es jetzt noch rauchen, ist ja auch egal.
Ja, Essen, Rauchen. Ja. Komm, weißt du, ihr könnt ja euch schon mal überlegen, wer wen synchronisiert hat. Ihr werdet es dann sehen im Spiel und wir gehen jetzt rein, oder?
Das wird
und machen
super.
das. Jetzt gleich kommt Blitz, ohne Scheiß.
Schnell rein.
Ja. Ich bin der Toni, wir sind im Plan 1 Studio München und ja, wir machen gerade Epic Micky 2, das Computerspiel oder Konsolenspiel sogar. Genau, Fortsetzung von einem sehr erfolgreichen ersten Teil, der aber nur 16 Sätze zu vertonen hatte. Diesmal sind es ein bisschen mehr, wir sind bei fast 10.000 und morgen wird es fertig so ungefähr. Also Unterschied bei der Vertonung von einem Videospiel zum normalen Synchron ist, dass wir zu 90% kein Bild haben. Das heißt, wir können auch schneller produzieren, weil wir nicht immer warten müssen, bis das Bild einstartet. Wir müssen nicht lippensynchron sein. Dafür musst du natürlich die Situation den Sprechern irgendwie darstellen, weil sie sagen oft, ich habe kein Bild, wie soll ich mir das vorstellen? Aber die haben jetzt doch auch schon das ein oder andere Spiel gemacht und wissen, wie das läuft. Wir haben ganz viele Lieder auch in dem Spiel. Mad Doctor.
Die nehmen wir auch gleich auf.
Die wurden hier gemacht.
Stimmt, die müsst ihr ja auch übersetzen.
Die sind übersetzt und deutsch gesungen. Die werden da drin gerade auch gemischt. Hitzige Diskussionen. Ja. Ich finde, wenn Goofy singt, sollte der Chor mehr rauskommen. Ja, genau. Nein, du hast keine Ahnung.
Dass der Ralf euch stört.
Jetzt Ralf. Ralf hat die deutschen Liedtexte gemacht und auch sich um die Gesangsproduktion von unserem schönen Mad Doctor gekümmert.
Ein bisschen am Kämpfen mit dem Format.
Meine lieben Freunde, vor euch steht ein anderer Mann. Ich bekenne meinen Irrtum und man hört den neuen Plan. Ich will Würstle nicht erobern, das hatten wir doch schon. Es geht um Wiederaufbau, da hat jeder was davon.
Jetzt müssen wir erstmal, glaube ich, auswählen, wer sein will. Okay. Die Auswahl ist gigantisch, weil 2. Habt ihr schon so optisch euch...
Ich glaube, optisch ist es egal.
Aber das optisch schon besetzen? Nee. Keine Ahnung.
Well, hey, pal, how's it going?
Wer ist das?
Das ist der Hund, Male Dog.
Okay, ja, deswegen.
Ziege.
Das ist aber geschickt gemacht. Wir nehmen einfach Goofy, dann machen wir einen dicker, einen dünner und einer kriegt dann Zähne und nicht.
Yeah, she's doing some sort of project. She could probably use some help.
Hey, das Layback von dieser Ziege gefällt mir auch gut. Ich habe, glaube ich, auch die, also wenn das von der Tonalität irgendeine Rolle spielt, ich glaube, ich habe eher eine höhere Stimme als du wahrscheinlich. Ne?
Wie meinst du das? Dann nimmst du den ab und machst deine Interpretation und dann sagen wir entweder super oder bitte nochmal oder halt eben nächster. Ja. Die ganzen Pappnasen sitzen schon drin.
Es ist das Western-Saloon-Setting, oder wie?
Keine Ahnung, aber wir spielen das jetzt so. Das basteln wir uns jetzt erstmal so hin.
Well, hey, pal, how's it going?
Hallo Kumpel, na, wie geht's?
Well, hey, pal, how's it going?
Hallo Kumpel, na, wie geht's? Ich habe von einem Ort namens Niva gehört. Ein Ort für all die Toons, die wir vergessen haben. Klingt total bescheuert.
Die Zeit ist sehr, sehr schön.
Lustig, sehr schön. Ja. Wie gefällt's dir?
Sehr gut.
Tatsächlich.
Ja, er macht das ganz hervorragend. Und ich übertreibe mit dem Lob nur, damit dann die Erwartungshaltung an mich auch dementsprechend unten ist. Ist ja klar.
So the mad doctor's back, huh? And he's good now? Who would have thought?
Der Mad Doctor ist also zurück, was? Hä? Und jetzt ist er netter? Wer hätte das gedacht? 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 Hä?
Das
Tut mir wirklich leid, wenn ich es gerade nicht...
Das macht nichts. Bisschen ruhiger. Wer hätte das gedacht? Und jetzt stelle ich mir gleich mal einen Whisky.
Wer hätte das gedacht?
Oh. Wer hätte das gedacht?
Wer hätte das gedacht? Wer hätte das gedacht?
Also, solange ich lache, kannst du dir sicher sein, ist alles toll. Ja!
Hey!
Hey! Sehr gut.
Ja.
Top. Super. Hier sind alle total froh. Das sind hier nur Fans von dir.
Ich glaub's euch, aber was mache ich hier?
Hey, thanks for everything, man. Hey,
Das ist offensichtlich ein Käfer.
you and me, we are not cool, man.
Wir zwei, wir sind uns echt nicht grün, Mann. Dieses neue Schweinchen-Album ist der Hammer, Alter. Ich liebe ihren Sound.
Mann, diese Beben haben mich so nervös gemacht, dass... Nee, also ich habe mich verlesen. Okay.
Hey, thanks for everything, man.
Hey, danke für alles, Mann.
Und ein bisschen schneller und wir hören noch mal einen Kollege.
Frag doch mal bei ihm nach.
Miau!
Die Vertonung von Epic Micky, wir haben es hier zu tun mit circa 9000 Takes. Zum Vergleich, ein Spielfilm hat circa 1000. Wir vertonen also 9 Spielfilme, kann man so sagen. 6 Wochen ungefähr, was sehr schnell ist. Und davor kommt natürlich noch die Übersetzung, alles muss übersetzt werden. Also wir haben das Projekt jetzt circa 2 Monate in der Mache.
Hey Micky, kennst du mich noch? Ich bin ein großer Fan von dir. Da kommt immer so ein lautes Ploppen vom Dach des Detektivbüros.
Mann, diese Beben haben mich so nervös gemacht, dass ich meine Schmutzwäsche gegessen habe. Hier passieren in letzter Zeit so komische Dinge. War das wieder ein Beben? Ich bin nicht sicher. Ich zitter selbst zu sehr.
I'm Warren Spector. I'm the creative director at Junction Point, part of Disney Interactive Studios. And I was the guy who headed the team up that created Micky Epic, and now Micky Epic, die Macht der Zwei. I love Oswald. I've been an animation fan most of my life, and so I knew about Oswald, but most people have completely forgotten he ever existed. So when I had the opportunity to make a game that honors 80 years of Disney's creative history, and Disney offered this character, I had to bring him back. I mean, he deserves better than to be forgotten. Walt Disney's first cartoon star, still one of the funniest, most appealing cartoon characters ever. The opportunity to bring him back to the world was huge, and I think people are going to fall in love with him. I think he's going to be as big a star as Mickey someday. I certainly hope so. When you're making a two-player co-op game or any multiplayer game, it doesn't make sense to have all of your characters do the same thing, have the same abilities. You want abilities that are different and complementary, so working together, they can accomplish things that neither character can do alone. And so we wanted to give Oswald something different than paint and thinner. That's what makes Mickey special. So we gave Oswald a remote control. We introduced that in the first game, actually, in a cinematic, but now you get to play with it. And it gives Oswald the ability to set off fireworks, stun the robotic enemies in the game, override electronic locks, power machines that are not turned on, and that just allows Oswald to solve problems in different ways than Micky. It also has the nice side benefit of allowing you to get through this entire game without ever defeating anything in combat. You don't ever have to beat anything. You can befriend every single Toon character and every single animatronic character in the game now, which you couldn't do before. And that's all thanks to Oswald's electrical ability. We also gave Oswald abilities that came right out of the cartoons. Walt Disney and Ub Iwerks were kind of game designers before there were games to design. So, I mean, Oswald can remove his arm and throw it, and it works sort of like a boomerang right out of the cartoons. He can use his ears for all sorts of things. We'll let people figure that out. We didn't make that stuff up. We just borrowed from Walt, way ahead of his time, as always. I think players probably still prefer Micky. It's called Micky Epic, right? Not Oswald Epic, at least not yet. And Micky is the heart of the story. But I think the more they experience Oswald, the more they see him and play as him, now that you can actually play in two-player co-op mode in the new game, I think players are going to start really drifting over into the Oswald camp. I think he's got a big future ahead of him. Oswald was a silent film star. Walt lost the rights to the character in 1928, so he never spoke in a Disney cartoon. And then when Disney got him back for this game, we had to figure out what he sounded like. And luckily, as we worked with him and figured out what his personality was like, I heard his voice in my head. It sounds so strange, but it's true. I heard this guy saying, I'm a silent film star, and if I can't talk, no one's going to talk. When we started talking to folks at Disney about casting actors to play, or an actor to play Oswald, I did that voice, and we shared our character description and our scripts with them, and they immediately said, how about Frank Welker? Frank Welker is one of the foremost voice actors in North America, and they didn't even audition anybody else. I mean, as soon as they said Frank Welker, I don't even think they got the out. I think it was Frank Welk, and I said yes. So I certainly felt honored. And the thing that kills me, in a good way, is think what it says about video games and their place in culture, in world culture, that Disney, biggest media company on the planet, says a video game is the right place to bring a character back and give him a voice for the first time. I don't think that would have happened 10 years ago, but now video games, we've made it. You know, we're up there with movies and books and plays and everything else. We're legit now. Every game I've worked on, this is the 22nd game I've worked on, I think. Every one is about players telling their own story. It's about players making choices. Not about me setting up a puzzle or putting an enemy in front of you and saying kill it. That's not what games should be about. Games should be about people like me creating challenges for players, and then you get to overcome that challenge however you want. In the example you just gave, that's the simplest choice possible. There's a painting that's half painted in and half not. If you paint it in, you get one reward. If you erase the entire thing, you get a different reward. Very simple. But things get more complicated fairly soon in the game. There'll be places where one character will say, hey, there's a bunch of bad guys in a fort. Go take care of all of them. Get them out of there so we can move back in. But someone else is going to say, they have as much right to live there as we do. Let's find a way to be friendly with them so we can all live together. Now, obviously, you can't do both. So you have to sit there and think, who do I want to make happy? And who do I want to annoy? Because you can only do one. You can't do both. And that's where games can actually, almost like tell you something about yourself. I mean, how you decide to play that little situation may be completely different than the way I do. And obviously, the character you help is going to be happy with you, and the character you don't help is not going to be happy with you. So it's going to change who your friends are, what quests you learn about. How you deal with the choices in this game really matter. It's going to let you tell your own story. That's the key. Songs are important in Disney Epic Mickey because songs are important to Disney. Imagine Snow White or Sleeping Beauty or Mary Poppins or Tangled or Three Little Pigs or imagine any Disney film that doesn't use songs to tell its story, to convey the emotional feeling, the feelings that characters are having. You can't find one. So if you're going to make a game that claims to be about 80 years of Disney's creative history, you have to have songs. That's the official reason. The real reason is I just love musicals. I mean, I'm a musical geek. I've been going to musicals since I was a kid, and I love them. And I've always wanted to do a musical game. And when you tell most game publishers you want to put songs in your game, they sort of go, "Are you crazy?" But when I said that to Disney, they said, "Oh yeah, sure, that makes sense. Yeah, of course."
Die Waffen, die Bibel, das alles unfassbar. Menschlein ist in Not, ja, das ist wahr.
Hey Doc, alles klar? Doc, ist alles klar?
The thing is, the songs in this game don't actually affect gameplay. They're in cinematic moments, and if you really don't like songs in your games, you can skip past them. Now, in the future, I'm going to make a crazy interactive musical where the music is part of the mechanics, and that's going to be a ton of fun. But this is not that game. This is just the first sort of attempt to bring songs into games. We'll see how it goes. Yeah, the camera in the first game was spectacularly good, given the impossible problems we were trying to solve. I'm gonna defend to the death the work that my camera team did. Okay, no game had ever tried to solve both the third-person camera problem, which is just hard by itself, and then try to make a game that allows players to decide if it's a platform experience or an adventure game experience, both of which require different camera systems, and then make that problem even more difficult by saying we're not even going to know if there's a wall between the camera and Mickey, because the player might decide to erase it or draw it in. We were trying to solve problems that no other game has ever tried to solve. Now, I'm not saying you should have liked our camera, okay? That's not what I'm saying at all, but at least acknowledge the difficulty of the problem we were trying to solve. Did we do better in the new game? Absolutely. The camera is way better in the second Mickey game. There's no question. I've seen people play through the entire game on the Wii without ever touching the manual camera controls. Okay, so it's that much better. But the one thing we did make a mistake on in the first game is there were plenty of places where we took control of the camera away from the player. We said, we're not going to let you move the camera manually. And we've fixed that. You're always going to be able to move it where you need it, if you need to. But the goal is so you don't have to move it around much, and we've done that. Fingers crossed. You'll tell us, I'm sure. I think Micky Epic is a statement of what I think makes games unique and interesting and art. But I wouldn't characterize it as a statement about the game industry, because at the same time, we've seen a lot of very graphic, action-oriented, violence-driven games. We've also seen games like Journey and Braid and Micky Epic. that are completely different. We've seen games like Gardens of Time and Where's My Water that are completely different. We don't celebrate the variety of games nearly enough. I mean, when I started making games a long time ago, no one was making games that really gave players real choices. And I would sit around with my friends, other developers who were working, on games like that, the Ultima games I worked on, and System Shock, and Thief, and Deus Ex, and we would look at each other and go, why isn't everybody doing this? This is the coolest stuff anybody could do in a game. And now, actually, you do see more people doing that. I mean, there are games like, Knights of the Old Republic, Mass Effect, Fable, Dishonored, Bioshock, Grand Theft Auto. These are games that really do put power in players' hands to do what they want, to interact with the world and the characters however they want. There are now so many developers who've embraced this idea that games should be about how clever and creative players are, not how clever and creative developers are. So I think Micky's just sort of finally, at last, just one of a number of games that are expressing what makes games unique and wonderful. I have never in my life made a game for kids. I've never thought about making a game for kids, and in fact, when Disney asked me if I was interested in making a Mickey Mouse game, despite being like the biggest Disney geek on the planet, I said no, because I don't make games for kids. And Disney's done an incredibly good job of making Mickey appealing to kids. But they said, no, we want you to make your Mickey game, not a game for kids. We want you to make a Mickey game that appeals to everyone in the same way that a Pixar film or a Disney feature film appeals to everyone. I always tried to make a game that adults could enjoy in their way and kids could enjoy in their way. And kids and adults do play the game differently, there's no doubt. But now what I'm really looking forward to seeing is kids and adults playing together. Now that we have the two-player co-op mode, I can't wait to see some mom playing Mickey and a daughter playing as Oswald. That's when I think some real magic could happen, some real Disney magic. Don't assume anything I'm about to say expresses any official Disney strategy or even reflects what Junction Point might do next or I might do next. But the most interesting thing that's happening in gaming right now is the explosion of mobile gaming. Not little puzzle games or swipe games or, that's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is the fact that pretty much everyone everyone I know, everyone who's watching this has a game console in their pocket that's more powerful than a PlayStation 2 was just a few years ago. It's approaching PlayStation 3, and 2-3 years from now, tablets are going to be as powerful, they're going to be more powerful than any console. And no one seems to be dealing with that. You can already output from a phone to a 70-inch plasma screen. We have to figure out what to do with multiple screen gaming, which Nintendo's already getting into with the Wii U. We have to figure out how to make, real games, is the way I call them, real games that don't rely on joysticks and buttons. Tablet gaming is just fascinating to me. When you have 1 billion people with a console in their pockets, you'd be crazy not to want to reach that audience. Huge part of our future. I'm hugely excited about the next round of consoles, and I'm terrified. You basically double your team size and your costs of development with each new console generation. And I just spent 2 years working on a game that had 800 people in 9 locations around the world working on it. I'm trying to imagine how I make a game that costs twice as much and has 1,600 people on the team. I don't know. It's a little scary, but the reality is we're already getting pretty close to doing in real time what the CGI movie guys do. I mean, they pre-render everything, and we have to do it 30 frames a second in real time. And our animation and our visuals are getting pretty good already. On that next generation, we're going to be doing Pixar quality in real time with their interactivity. I mean, you'd be crazy not to be excited about that. The Wii, 360, PS3, PC, Mac, Wii U, they're exactly the same, other than the graphics and the controls. Obviously, when you go from the Wii, which has the remote and the nunchuck, the gestural control, the Move is sort of similar to that. But the big thing is we support the standard controller and had to make a game that works as well with a standard controller as it does with the gestures. And again, you'll tell us if we've succeeded or not. The Wii U is Nintendo's first entry in the high definition game category, and so the big thing obviously is Nintendo fans finally get high def graphics. That's the big thing. We've moved some of our sort of secondary game systems down to the gamepad, the second screen, but the big thing that Wii U gamers are going to get with Micky Epic, die macht der zwei, that other consoles don't get is a real-time map. It doesn't sound like much, but as you move around in a 3D world, it's sometimes hard to know where you are, where you're going, where you're supposed to go. But as you do that on a Wii U, we've got a map on that second screen that's going to be updating in real time, so you always know exactly where you are and can see where you need to go. That's a huge advantage, and it's only available on the Wii U. I wanted to do a handheld version. Sadly, I do so much traveling now. I do most of my gaming on handhelds. So I really wanted to see Wasteland and Micky and Oswald on the handheld platforms. And I kind of interviewed and auditioned a bunch of developers to see who was on the same page creatively, who got the whole playstyle matters, who got the paint and thinner mechanic. And Peter Ong, the creative director at Dream Rift, he came to our studio. And I talked to him. I mean, frankly, after about 10 minutes, I knew that he was the guy and that Dream Rift was the studio to do the game, because I'd played Monster Tale and Henry Hatsworth, and they really just are masters of the top and bottom screen interaction stuff. I'm not kidding. Peter came in, and he already had a pitch for a game. He said, before I told him what project we were even talking about, he gave me a pitch for his game about painting things on the bottom screen that would appear on the top screen of a platform game, changing the environment on the top screen. And I went, and he said, we haven't quite got the fiction worked out yet. And that's the time I said, I think I can probably help you out with some fiction, you know? So that was a Dream Rift team. And then when he said he wanted to do a fortress, that you rescue different characters, and who you rescue that shows up in the fortress, and the fortress changes based on who you rescue. And I said, dude, I've been wanting to do that since I mean, like for a decade I've been wanting to do that in a game. And he said, me too. And so, okay, there we go. That's the second great thing. And then he told me he was a huge fan of Castle of Illusion, classic Disney platform game. And he said, how about the Castle of Illusion, forgotten, rejected video game stuff in Wasteland? And I slapped my hand on my forehead and said, how could I not have thought to put forgotten and rejected video game history in Wasteland? 10 minutes after we started talking, Dream Rift had the job. I probably shouldn't say that, but yeah, they've done a terrific job on this game. As long as 3D gaming has been an option, I've been a 3D gamer. In fact, I'm kind of a first-person guy. There's a little part of me that would love to go back to first-person games. There's a big part of me that would love to go back to making first-person games. I just love them. But playing Power of Illusion, I mean, I obviously I was involved in creative brainstorming, and just to be blunt, I have one more vote than everybody else on the team on any project that my name goes on. So I had one more vote on Power of Illusion than the Dream Rift guys did. But I got to play it more as a player than as a developer. And I was reminded about the beauty and simplicity and fun and just joy of 16-bit platforming play. We get so caught up in flashy graphics and hyper-real stuff and serious hardcore. And when you play a game inspired by Castle of Illusion or Sonic or those classic Mario platform games, you just remember why you started gaming in the first place. And so yeah, there's a certain appeal to simple, pure 16-bit fun. I wouldn't mind doing that. I think Kickstarter is great. I think it's there are certain projects and certain developers where it's perfect. I mean, for me, I kind of make big team, big projects, you know, and so I'm not sure it's right for me, at least not in the kind of game that I'm making now. But you know, it's pretty cool that right now, if you have an idea for a game, there's a way to fund it. There are game engines out there that will let you make it, and it seems like there are as many ways to reach an audience with that game as there are people who want to make games. I mean, it's crazy. You can distribute digitally. You can put your game on a disc in a box. You can spend millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars and have 800 people working on a project, or you can be one guy alone in a garage doing the game of your dreams somewhere. I think Kickstarter is kind of emblematic of what's happening in gaming, because it means you don't have to go to a publisher. You don't have to have a big team. You don't have to put your game on a box and sell it in a retail store. Creativity trumps cash. That's kind of the key in 2012. Creativity trumps cash. And that means if you're a guy with an idea or a gal with an idea, go and make your game, because you could change the world. I mean, Minecraft did not come from a traditional mainstream game publisher, and it absolutely changed the world. So anybody can do that now. It's crazy.